I look back and, I think about, I do some genealogy stuff, and I look back at some of, and I know other people have made this comment, but I have to say it personally. I look back at some of my ancestors, and when you're looking at these families that lost, I don't know, 5 or 6 kids,
right?
None of them made it to adulthood, but yet your familial line continued on after that. What is it that they did in order to get through all those points along the way to survive? How do you get past that grief? I lost a son. My wife and I lost a son.
You lost his
yeah, and I was holding him in the hospital when he took his last breath. And I was going through, it's literally, a lot of it's tied back to that period, very dark period of time in my life with the ME's office. And in a weird way, at that moment in time, when Isaac breathed his last, I notified myself. And I remember for me, one of the things I would do when I was going out to make a notification, I would make a deal with God, and I would say, please help me extend some level of mercy to these people, and I hope that mercy will in kind be shown to me and my family at some point in time. And it was a weird thing. It really was. When he passed on, he didn't live very long, and we knew that he would probably not survive. And we were just wrecked. I mean, absolutely wrecked. And we, all this other stuff was going on with my job at the time. I'd just seen too much death at that point in my life. And then
How long ago was this?
That was in 2004 when Isaac died.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and still to I mean, people need to hear it because it's part of who I am, and it's part of what they see if they see me on television. It's my grand hope. I think that any word that issues forth from my mouth is done in kindness and compassion, because sometimes those lessons are hard learned, in a very hard world that some folks are not fully aware of. They're not. On a lighter note, when my wife and I first met, I love to tell this story. I was working for the ME in Atlanta, and we went out on a blind date.
And you keep saying ME, by the way. This is a dumb question. What does that mean?
That's the medical examiner. There's two. One of the things I study in academia is actually the coroner system, and we can get off into that. But
we will.
I started off in a coroner system, wound up in a medical examiner system. But I was working for the medical examiner. I was a senior investigator, and we went out on a blind date. Went to a Braves game. And we went to a place called Fellini's. I'll never forget it, Fellini's Pizza. And after the game, and we were sitting there, and we had ordered a pie, and sitting there and chatting. And this was 25 years ago. I'll never forget. My wife, she was sitting across the table from me, and she looked at me and she said, because she's a school teacher, public school teacher, all right? And she said this in the most sincere way. And but when you think about the statement, she looked at me and said, until I met you, I never thought about death.
Oh, wow.
And you could take that any number of ways. If you're on a blind date, you can take that in any number of ways. But, she said, I'd never thought about death. And there's some truth in that. I think that most people, first off, people don't want to, I don't think, admit that death occurs. They just kind of go on about their business and I agree with them, man. I mean, I'd rather be thinking about fishing, right, or laying out on the beach, or, hanging out with my grandkids or something like that. That's cool stuff, man. But, death is the space that I occupy. And I can understand why people wouldn't think about death, but it is coming.
For all of us.
For every single person, it is. And we live our lives, like we're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and that's just not the case. And I've seen mighty, mighty men fall over the course of my career and have documented their deaths. And, you know, my wife's innocent little statement there, she's speaking truthfully from her heart, because she, you know, who goes around, you know, thinking, you know, she doesn't even know that people like me exist. Right. From an occupational sense, you know, you're thinking about, you know, who is it that goes out and deals with all this? I just thought you called somebody, and
you never want to meet them.
No, you never do. You never do. But isn't it funny when you do meet them, people have all these questions to ask.
Yeah, they do. Really? Because whenever you're dealing with something related, well, in this case, you're dealing with death, but like, think about health. Someone will make a doctor their best friend the minute that they have a problem they never thought about before that day.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a human reaction, because now you're like, well, wait, this is the expert. This is the person I got to go to.
Right.
So tell me what to do, you know? And it's just something we jump to do, but you're tasked to do it at a particularly difficult time where, you know, hope is lost, you know?
Yeah, it is. And you're there to, I don't know, you're not there picking up pieces, and I've certainly done that literally, but you're there to try to make sense of what's going on.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. Please hit that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.